Now that we're at this part, got this sewed. I did some clipping. I don't know if that's showing up on the corners. You can do it like that. Remove some of the bulk just out of your corners. I'm probably going to go around, trim it a little bit more. Trim it up around the neckline here, get rid of some of that bulk so it turns nice. Then we got to turn it the other way, right side out, and then do a little bit of pressing around here, and then move on to the next step. Yeah, I just went around with the pinking shears. Just clipped off some of that seam allowance. Take out some of the bulk. Now I'm going to turn it right side out, give it a little bit of a pressing, and then on to the next step. Now that it's pressed, I mean, as good as wool will press sometimes, we have to turn it inside out again and do the armholes. As far as the armholes go, we have this seam here and this seam. We want to get those lined up, and then we're going to go right around, line this all up, pull this, get that lined up and pinned together, and then we'll do that side. But we want to get this seam and this seam as a starting point, and then we can work our way around. Well, that's clipped together on both sides, both armholes. So now I got to come up and around here. Over on that side, the same deal. We'll get that sewed together and then move on to the next step. Both armholes now are sewed. I took my pinking shears around that, notched out some of the sharper corners. Now, got to turn it right side out. And to do that, you got to come in between this back and this liner. In between, fish all this through that little opening. And that is not easy. It's a lot of material to come through there, a lot of bulk. But that's how you have to do it. That's it, it's not easy. It's a small opening with a lot of fabric trying to come through there. There we go. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, there's half. And we can still, since we pressed it already, it kind of wants to go where it's supposed to, but this is wool and it's stubborn. So that's why I'm going to do a top stitch, keep that shape, because I said it's really hard to get it to iron where you want it. So, okay, there's half of it. Now for the other half. Now it's starting to look like a little more like a vest now. So we have it right side out. We have to do the belt, and then we have to get our side sewed together here, and then do a few more trickery and get the bottom sewed up, and then do a lot of pulling through under here. We got to leave a big gap here because we're going to fold this around and then pull everything through this little hole again. It's pretty crazy whoever came up with that. These tailors, man, back in the day, the things they came up with was ingenious. As it turns out, I don't have a 3/4 inch buckle. So I made the belt. I'm going to skip the buckle for now because I can do that later. I wanted to make everything out of stuff I got at thrift stores, and all this was from thrift stores. The only thing that wasn't was the thread. I'm not going to use old thread. So I made the belt. I mean, this is it's really simple. Just fold. Pick what you want to use, either your liner, your back, or your fabric, whatever. Make it out of whatever you want, and just fold this in half, right sides together. Sew down here, up 5/8, and then turn it inside out and press it, and there's your belt. So I'm going to get these sewed on. I'll pin them where I want them, or clip them where I want them. Sew them on, and then we can move on. Should be worth noting that I sewed these at 3/8 of an inch because this seam, when I sew this to that end, is going to be 5/8, and that'll be wrapped around, so it'll be twice as strong. It's going to have a 3/8 seam here, and then for 5/8 also. And this is just pinned together to hold it in place for now. So I'll move on to the next step. Now, a little more difficult part here. This is the belt. I pinned it with some safety pins just to stop it from flopping around. But we need to do some pinning together here. We have to sew our inner liner, this together, and then this to this. That's the next part. It's a little trickier than everything else we've pinned. So got to keep right sides together. So this is the right side of the liner. This is the right side of the liner, so we can get them pinned together. Then I'll come over here, do the same deal here. This is the right side of the liner, and this is the right side of the liner. So, and then that'll be pinned. So I'll get them pinned, and then we'll move on to this, pinning this to the front. The liner is pinned together. I put a bunch of clips here to remind me not to sew, and I marked it between here and here. I don't want to sew in between here and here because I need to leave that liner open. Might even stop a little shorter so it's a little bit bigger. Then I'll have to hand stitch that. But I can come down here, and on this side I can go the whole way 5/8 seam, and then same here 5/8, and then I'm going to put a little bit up here just from the armhole down a little bit, then stop, and then start again here. Remember to leave that open because eventually everything has to be pulled all the way through that little hole. So I'm going to get this sewed. Then I have to flip this around so that this right side is on the right side of our front here, and I can get that part sewed. And then we have to turn everything kind of inside out, upside down, and go on to the next part.